Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hello, my name is Mike. Welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast. This is a podcast where I talk about gaming, because I love games so much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
What's this part of the show? Why am I supposed to talk? Am I supposed to talk here? Am I supposed to sing here? I want to talk about gaming. Gaming's great. I sit in my nice comfy chair that allows me to sit for hours on end, and I play with a community of people across the world. And it's a great thing. I love doing this podcast because it's called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Oh my god, it's almost like I knew they were going to say that. I'm a gamer and I love to game, and I'm playing
Mike's
all kinds of games now.
Daily
Do you want to know what games I play?
Podcast.
Am I too close to the microphone?
Yeah!
Hey everybody! Sorry I got preempted by a gamer kid. That's okay, this podcast won't do that again, hopefully. My name is Mike Matthews, here in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth located somewhere in Podcastro Valley. The Mike Cafe anyway. Okay, now that we got that all the way, I might have to do something weird with my microphone, just so you know, just a little something. Okay, there we go. Now we're okay. Yes. This is why Community is the best show ever. I will probably never watch another comedy show ever again that's funny, because with the vehicle of the character Abed, they were able to poke fun not only at things that make us, that we all want to poke fun at, things in life, but then it poked fun in the whole way of how shows poke fun, and then it poked fun at poking fun at the poking fun, and it got so meta. And I hate using the word meta. No, I don't. I like using the word meta. Abed was so meta, and I think we thank him for that. We meta him.
And here's today's podcast picture.
That we met Abed. The podcast picture today is of the Library of Congress, which I am reminded by my Google Photos app not to give them a plug. Okay, I gave them a plug, and now I'm going to give them a slug. They keep reminding me, you're running out of space, you're running out of space, but you told me you gave me infinite space, like space itself. But no. Oh, and I do an Abed impression. And I thought you were going to give me infinite space because of the space. Nah, that doesn't work. I sound a little bit more like Eminem right there. No, not really even that. Basil, I know. I insulted your favorite rapper of all time, Eminem. What? I thought you liked other rappers. No, Eminem's your favorite right now? To each his own. Nope, you don't like him anymore now? Okay, that's how quickly the tastes change in the world of the boxer, Basil. But yes, I was there. How long ago is this now? And I believe, 9 years ago. 9 years ago, I was there. It struck me today as I was on my walk in Podcastro Valley, which I'm enjoying that working at home thing because I am able to go for walks. Whereas before, working in Fremont, or Podcastro Valley Mont, I would only be able to walk around where I worked, and that meant always ending up at Lake Elizabeth. And it's a beautiful lake and I love it, but I got so sick of it. I mean, I was there just about every day throughout the year. I saw Lake Elizabeth with green grass around it, with brown grass around it. I saw them build their playgrounds. I saw ducks breed and have little other ducks, and Canadian geese stop by and go, hello, eh? And then fly off after I told that cheap Canadian joke. And then just, I saw it all. I saw the mountains, Mission Peak, everything turn green, then turn brown, then turn green again. I saw the sun rotate around the earth several times and go like time-lapse photography, and I'm done. And it's nice walking around Castro Valley again. So that's one thing about working at home that I'm enjoying. But yes, this was 9 years ago. I was in the fine city, well, I guess that's up for debate, but D.C., interesting topic, Washington, D.C. right now. But I was in D.C. enjoying doing a little sightseeing. I've been to Washington, D.C. twice. If you have never been, I suggest you go, but I suggest you also wait till this whole thing blows over, the pandemic, and then the other thing that happened in Minneapolis. And then we'll eventually get back to normalcy, and you should go see DC then. But it was the Library of Congress, fascinating place. It's free to get in. All kinds of cool exhibits. And then just this architecture, you're like, am I in America? Or am I in some far-off land with these Greek columns and Roman architecture and tiles and detailed sculptures? And you'll see that picture at mikesdailypodcast.com. It is an amazing place. And I only saw a tiny bit of it because some of it was closed or closed to the general public. I was floored. So I suggest you go at some point. The other interesting thing is you can walk to the Library of Congress from the Capitol of the United States of America, completely underground. There's like an underground tunnel that takes you from the Capitol to the Library of Congress. I think it's some kind of security thing in case, the worst were to happen. Speaking of which, the White House is on lockdown right now due to the Twin Cities riot, which also that already has its own Wikipedia page, by the way. It says the Twin Cities riots, also known as the Minneapolis riots, are an ongoing series of civil disturbances in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metropolitan area, Minnesota. Unrest began in Minneapolis May 26th of 2020 after the death of George Floyd while being restrained by officers of the Minneapolis Police Department the day before. Protests at the MPD's 3rd Precinct saw some demonstrators skirmishing with law enforcement officers who fired tear gas and rubber bullets. On May 27th, one man was fatally shot at a pawn shop, and the 3rd Precinct's windows were smashed. A supermarket was looted and other buildings were attacked and set alight. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. And the White House is on lockdown. Due to that, the U.S. Secret Service lifted the U.S. Secret Service lifted the lockdown on the White House after the growing unrest in Washington and around the country related to the death of George Floyd. But another interesting Washington, D.C. story circulating right now is that Mitch McConnell says, and Mitch McConnell's not afraid to wear a mask, by the way. He should wear a mask at his age. I mean, he grew up in Kentucky, and they sure smoke a lot there. Lots of tobacco. And they, he's probably got compromised lungs as it is, but he said that the next coronavirus stimulus bill will be the final one. It'll be the last one. Never again. Stop asking me for money. Hey, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, also known as the CARES Act, also has its own Wikipedia page. It's a law meant to address the economic fallout of COVID-19. So mad at COVID-19. Almost as mad as I am at the police officer guy in Minneapolis that did that terrible thing. But yeah, here we are. All these changes we've had to make. So if we had no coronavirus, would our economy be perfect? Would we not have a total 2009 meltdown 2008 economic downturn like we've been having? Would it all have been fine this year had this whole thing not happened? That's the question. JCPenney bankrupt. There was a 13.6% drop in consumer spending in April. People just not spending money. Well, of course, why would you? Jobs canceled, lost. You're not working here anymore. Bye-bye. You're furloughed. Or, like in my case, you get a wage reduction. That's nice. So now, and that's it, that we have to thank coronavirus for that. Was it an economic downturn? Last time it was an economic downturn, and there were jobs. I remember I lost my last job during the last economic downturn. And now we have another one caused by a disease. Pretty much. Looks like that. So when the economy gets rolling again, which even Obama's financial advisor said that was going to happen, and the economy should come back to normal rather quickly, should recover quickly. I forget who's Obama's financial advisor, or that guy. If I back up far enough on my web browser thing, maybe I'll actually find where I saw that story. It says, top Obama advisor predicts a fast recovery. Jason Furman, a Harvard professor who served as an economic advisor to Obama for 8 years, believes the economy could rebound quickly before the November election. The advisor doesn't compare the current economic suffering with a regular recession. Instead, he thinks it's more like what happens to a thriving economy during and after a natural disaster. Ah, ha, ha. A quick and steep decline in economic activity followed by a quick and steep rebound. Oh, Jason Furman, I hope you're right. Okay, well, let's see what happens. So, even when things start opening again, here's the crux of all this. This is what the worry is that even when stuff opens again, well, people are going to be still a little bit nervous about going out and shopping still after all the threat that we've had and all the worry. Real or not. Well, I mean, the worry is there. It's like, how much does it affect you with the anxiety? I mean, the anxiety is palpable. People are feeling anxious. But how much does it affect you? How much are you worried about dying? You could, basically kill yourself by not wearing a mask, or you could kill yourself walking across the street and not looking both ways. Or you could just, a comet could fall on your head. Or would that be a meteor or an asteroid? I forget which. Too bad this isn't a podcast by Neil deGrasse Tyson. He would know. And he'd also have that beautiful smoky voice of his. He almost talks like in a whisper. So, that was my impression of Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm much better with Carl Sagan.
Billions upon billions of years ago, tiny nucleic acids formed in the great horizon that is life.
So, less money to spend, and add to all of that the salary reductions, like yours truly got, and the people furloughed, and that just, you're not going to, that might hamper this whole thing. Just saying. JCPenney bankrupt. That's the most I don't care story in the world. I don't remember the last time I went into JCPenney. My mom dragged me to JCPenney to go back to school shopping. And I remember just, let's get out of here. Okay, I like that, and that. Let's get out of here. Oh, you want me to try on the pants? Yes, the pants don't fit me. I'm fatter than I was last year, Mom. Thanks. Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's leave. God, I hate JCPenney. Is that their new slogan? So yeah, even though stores are reopening, we do have all this stuff to contend with. All because of this ding-dang flu. Hey, we're still sipping here in the wonderful Alameda County. I went from Alabama to Alameda. I always find that fascinating. But before Alabama, I was in Ventura, California. Shout out to Ventura and Oxnard. But not you, Camarillo. But the thing is, that wasn't appropriate, because By the way, so when we do find a cure for COVID-19, or all these pharmaceutical companies looking for a cure, it's interesting to note that it's during phase 3. Phase 1, collect underpants. Phase 2, phase 3, profit. Phase 3, actually, no, the real phase 3 in drug testing is on humans, and that testing always ends up killing the drug. It doesn't pass, and then they're back to and they've wasted all that money on nothing. That's the thing that the drug companies hate. That's what they're worried about too. By the way, so I work in radio, and just so you know that radio works, and I know it's a little plug for radio, and I'm doing a podcast, and actually you could advertise on this podcast. I never said you couldn't. Apparently someone did. Apparently somebody said, don't listen to this podcast. I don't think I have any listeners. And I judge that because whenever I give out the phone number, nobody calls. That and that little thing that counts how many people listen to my podcast is like 0. So I think I need to talk about games like this from now on. Hey, I just opened up the cartridge cassette thing that makes the game work. I don't know how the games work. It's the best game ever. Okay, so follow me on Discord. I'm also on Twitch. Actually, I think I do have a Twitch channel somewhere there. Okay, here's the thing. This guy that does a show on this radio station that I know of, I won't say the name of the guy or the radio station, but he was complaining last week that he wasn't getting any calls. No one's calling into his show. But then, that was last week, right? This week, he comes on to do his show, and he says, well, I may not get calls on my show during the week, much like yourself, myself, Mike Matthews, not getting any calls at 336mm daily. That's 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews, daily as in what this podcast has been for a long time. But I will probably be interrupted this weekend, so just so you know. But he said, yes, I didn't get any calls last week. Probably won't get any calls this week either on my show, but you are calling me after the show and you're emailing me after the show. And he said he got a lot of new clients to his business, and it really worked. So there you go. Because people don't realize that people got to get the message out. And how are you going to do it? You're going to put it in the paper, and the paper gets thrown. I get a paper, and actually the paper threatened to stop publishing. It's a free paper here in Podcastro Valley. They throw it on my driveway every week, which is hilarious because some days I forget about it, and the paper turns into this crusty shell. And when you pick it up, it just crumbles in your hand. Or somebody else picks it up by accident, or the wind blows it out in the middle of the street, and a car picks it up and then takes it to, down the street to someone else. And then, all these other things happen. So do you want to pay for an ad in a paper? And I love this paper, by the way. I'm picking on it, but I love it so much. And I've read parts of it on the show. So do you want that, to put your message in that? Or do you want to put your message in this podcast that you're actually listening to, and there's a good chance maybe someone else is listening? I don't know, because if you're listening, someone else might be. This is the logic. Or do you want to spend a ton of money, put it on TV, and who the heck is watching TV? I mean, I watch Community, as I aforementioned, and Abed and his meta-ness, and being and I wish I met Abed, but I mean, there's no commercials on Netflix. It's being paid for by my lovely lady friend. Thank you. And there's maybe an ad or two that you get if you watch, I guess there's now the Peacock channel, and there's Pluto TV, which I think is run by CBS. Which has a classic Doctor Who channel. It shows Doctor Who all day. That's wonderful. Or, okay, so you're going to spend, that's a lot of money. All I'm saying is that advertising does seem to work. Even if we do just think of it as white noise and don't even pay attention to it. But I think it does get into the psyche and sink in. Oh, yeah, of course, all the internet ads as well. Which is, interestingly enough, I know most of the local radio stations that are owned by large companies are also touting how they can help you with an internet, and they have a whole internet side to their business now. So you got to challenge Google on what Google does. You've got to make a better Google. You got to do Google better than Google. Speaking of radio, a station I was going to work for about 10 years ago, I almost took a job in Colorado Springs. Actually, this is 12 years ago. It was called Peak FM. I was going to be their music director and be on from 10 to 3 in the afternoon. And I went there for an interview. The guy was nice. Everyone was nice there. I ended up in Alabama instead because I wanted to be a program director. I wanted to run the station, and I wanted to just see what Alabama was going to be. It's going to be a whole other thing. I guess getting as far away from California at that point seemed cool to me. But now I'm back in California, and yes, going back to Cali. And so Peak FM did really well last ratings book, but now it has fallen. Not by much, but it went from a 6.8 to a 6.6. So there you go, 0.2. Peak FM, which is a adult contemporary station, much like the KKDV station, which I'm usually on Sundays. I'm not going to be on this Sunday, though, so don't try to listen. But you can find a link to that at mikesdailypodcast.com. You can also call me at 336-MM-DAILY. That's 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM as in Mike Matthews. Daily as in what this podcast will try to be, but probably won't be for the next couple of days. So continue sipping. Yes, sheltering in place. They say sip. Don't slip, just sip. And good luck with that. Oh, and look who's outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. We're having a little happy hour now, but everyone's like 8 feet apart and stuff.
That's right. So that's what you're sipping right there. I'm sipping a little iced coffee right now, which explains a lot for this show today. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman.
And this is John Deere, the engineer. My people should stay inside and never leave.
All right. And if you do that, you can listen to this podcast at home through your internet and enjoy the next show, which will be with Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Thank you for listening to episode 2050. Pretty nifty. Take it away, A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!